Hey Rachel, thanks for the question about that tough part on the Where's My Mind, the Pixies song. I'm sure other people had that same question because it is kind of hard. So here's what I was trying to explain, the intro. Like if you look at the tab, a lot of the tabs have it up here. Or you could do it with a pick. So this is the easy way to do it. This is the 9th fret on the G and the B string. So first you want to learn this. So it went like this: 9 9 9 9 9 9 9 9. Then you go to 8 9. So the 9 on G went down to here. And then you put your middle finger on 9 on G. Then you do a pull off to 8, and then you play 9 9. So that's the easy way. So then what I was trying to say was, like, it would be cool if you had a way to play that while you were doing the chords, like. But it's impossible to be playing that while you're doing that at the same time. I mean, that's just physically impossible, because how would you be going and have someone... You need 2 guitars, one guy to do this, while the person is playing that. But what you can do with guitar is sometimes mix parts together. So what I was trying to show was how you could play this part at the same time as the chords, but you can't really strum the chords into it. So what you can do is substitute the bass notes in of the chords. So the chords were E, C sharp minor, G sharp major, A major. So the bass notes, without having to strum the chords, would just be E, C sharp on the 4th fret, G sharp on the 4th fret, and then A, the A string. So first you got to make sure you understand how to do that. And then the question is, how would you play those bass notes while doing this riff? So it's kind of hard to, you can't really reach from here all the way down there. I mean, you could get the first part, and you got to use your fingers. So that's why this whole thing's a little tricky. So, but then how are you going to reach down to get, I mean, you could do this. That's insane. That's just too hard. You could actually move these bass notes up here. You could do it like this. You could go. Then you still have the same problem with this note. There's no other spot to move this. I mean, I just played it like that, but that's just crazy. It's too awkward. So the thing about the guitar is that you can, a lot of notes repeat themselves on guitar. So these 2 notes are actually the same as these 2 notes. So you should test this yourself. 9 and 9 on the G and the B string are the same 2 notes as 5 4 on the B and the E string. They sound a tiny bit different in terms of the tone, because when you're in the middle of the guitar, things sound warmer. These sound a little brighter, but they're the exact same notes. This note is E, E, G sharp, G sharp. So, since we need to get over here and get these bass notes in there, it's much more rational just to put them over here, because this was such a big crazy stretch. So you just put them over here. So what I would first do is learn the intro again over here. The shape changed a little bit because of the tuning of the guitar. So first make sure you understood this idea, then the bass thing, and then you gotta understand this idea. So now the intro, I mean, you could play the intro here instead of here. It would be the same notes. I think I just did it here because that's how the tabs were, and I like to reference tabs. But 5 4, 5/4, 5/4, then 4/4, and then 5 on the B string, pull off. So exact same riff as this, but the shape's a little different. 5/4, 5/4, 5/4, 5/4, 4/4, 4/4, 5, pull off, back to 5/5. So now, once you understand that, and you understand that we need these bass notes instead of the chords, because it's too hard to try to figure out how to strum the chords, and then, like, I don't even think there's a way to do that. This wouldn't work, so we substitute the bass notes for the chords. So make sure you got that riff, make sure you can do this. And then once you can do that, what you got to do is do the bass to replace the chords while you're doing this. So it starts with a pinch of this thumb on E, and then this finger's going to go on the B string while this fret is 5. And really you want to hold this whole shape down, so it's going to be... So I do pinch, then hit the top note. You do that for the first chord. The next chord was C sharp minor, so we got to go add this note in the bass, the 4th fret. Then you do the same thing, but the bass note was different. These notes stayed the same. So now I was pinch on 5 up to the 4th fret. The next note was G sharp, but the little pattern up here changes at this point. So you got to move this note down to 4. So you should have 4, 4, 4. And then for the last note, we need... You could do it like this, but it's easier, I think, just to use the open A string. Because the chord here would be A. It's that last chord in the progression. But the way I was showing it in another video is just, you might as well use the open string because it's a little easier. I'm hitting each bass note twice. So let me play it and I'll explain it again. So it's going to be... Should have hit the bass note twice there. And let me see what the best fingering would be for this. That's probably how I would teach it to my students. So let me try it again. So I would do these fingers to start. Ring finger, middle finger. You start with thumb on E, and it's going to be... Then this goes to 4th fret on the A string. Then I would change these fingers to here. First finger here, middle finger there, ring finger up there. And then... So that's kind of tricky, because you got to do thumb, pinch, pull off, whole thing. Whoops, I'll get these fingers set up, sorry. Here it is. Yeah, I like it like that. This is pretty advanced because you're doing a lot of things at the same time. So you got to make sure that you can practice this little pattern, then the bass, and then combine them. And probably the best way to learn it, if this is hard, is just pick like the first part and just get good at this first. So make sure you can do that. Actually, you should start with these fingers because then it's easier to transition to here. Just like get good at this. For the right hand, because the right hand can also be a challenge. So it's pinch with thumb. Then you can either use your first finger again, or you could use your middle finger on the higher note. probably how I would do it, or if that's too hard, you can just go. Just only use these 2 fingers, or you can use 3 fingers. Ah. So again, the whole point of this was one person normally is going. While the other guitar is going. And now I have a way to do both sort of parts at the same time, getting rid of the chords with the bass, substituting just the bass notes of the chords, and moving this riff over to here so that we can actually hit the bass notes we need. It doesn't sound as good as like 2 people playing at the same time, but it's a way to play the intro. Because the alternative is just to play this riff on its own, like twice maybe. And then just bring the chords in. Or you could do what I'm suggesting and play this twice. You could even do this with a bar. This is how I would do it, probably with a bar on an electric guitar. And then that just sounds cooler. It's a cooler way to start the song out if you're playing by yourself. So hopefully that made sense. If it's still too hard, like, the reason why this would be too hard is just not being comfortable with picking stuff, and then also not having enough exposure to like shapes. So if it's too hard, like, the way I learned guitar was by being exposed to a lot of stuff I couldn't necessarily play, but just kind of seeing it. So then when I was learning other stuff, I'd be like, oh yeah, I've seen stuff like that. Like, I couldn't do it like 3 months ago, but then I would get a little better by practicing other stuff that I could do, keeping the stuff in mind. So if it's too hard, like this would be too hard for a lot of my students, like when they're first starting, but I would expose them to like more basic finger picking stuff, like maybe on a D chord. Like just picking on some chords, on some basic open shapes. Because this would actually be a lot easier, even though it might sound harder. And once they could do that, maybe we'd come back to this later. Like, because this is hard because you got to do switch a lot. Like there's a coordination, and all of a sudden you got to switch, and then you got to switch, and then this is pretty hard. But if you finger pick for a while and just on open chords, it's not too bad. And another thing that's real helpful is just take your fingers, these 2, and pick one of the bass notes, like E, and then just start picking around the guitar, like. Just pick up the guitar and kind of do this. Just get used to this feeling, and then you can switch the bass up to A, maybe. If you get good at that, you could try like hitting the top open E every time, like. See, because then you can just focus on this technique while doing stuff that's... All I was doing is sliding my middle finger around to different notes while always going. Basically, this is the pattern. So I got better at this kind of finger picking stuff, partly by doing classical guitar for like over a year, pretty seriously, which made this kind of thing not too hard, and then partly just by like noodling around, like. When you get comfortable like noodling around and just messing around with the guitar, it kind of makes it easier when you encounter new stuff to learn it faster. So, hope that was helpful. That was a good question. Let me know if you have any more questions. Alright, bye.